communications. A resolution by the City of Athens in support of the Athens County Enhanced Communications Athens County 911 grant application through Ohio's Local Government Safety Capital Grant Program to facilitate the creation of a wireless broadband network in Athens County. This is introduced by Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, President Isley. I'm almost afraid to talk about this resolution. So bear with us as we're patiently dealing with this resolution. I would like to make a motion, since it's just a one reading, so a motion to adopt this resolution.
Second.
If you recall, we spoke last week in committee about this. This is working with the Ohio's Local Government Safety Capital Grant Program. Again, as the mayor just alluded to a few minutes ago, we're partnering again, and hopefully this will allow us to access a larger sum of money working with enhancing our 911 program. So the partnership would include the City of Athens, the City of Nelsonville, Athens Township, Rome Township, York Township. And again, this would be a collaboration to enhance our 911 program to establish a wireless broadband network throughout the county. Any other comments from council or the mayor? Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. The resolution's been adopted. We'll now move to announcements and other business. Before we move on to those, removing from the table the other two ordinances, we will have a motion to accept the auditor's February 2016 financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept those reports. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Okay, the motion is approved. All right, we'll take ordinance 1316 first, and I believe this is the salt truck one. And in the case of each of these ordinances, what we'll do is we'll have a series of votes. We're going to vote to remove from the table, and then in this case we will vote to, I think this one has an amendment, then we will vote, and then that's it for this particular one. It will be read the first time. And I'll do the explanation on 3616 when we get to that other one. But for now, Ordinance 1316, Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. And again, we haven't done this very often, but last week at committee, we tabled this ordinance regarding our salt truck. So I move from the table 1316.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to remove this ordinance from the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, the ordinance has been removed from the table.
Now I request that we amend ordinance 1316.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and the amendment being?
The amendment being we need to change the expenditure for the truck from $100,000 to $140,000 and authorize the disposal of the old truck, the 2003 truck. Not sure if the mayor would like to speak on this or there's any additional information in terms of the cost.
No, I mean, other than what has been mentioned before it was pulled from the table, and that, 128 is a truck that is in sad shape, and it's got us through this winter, but it's time to replace so that we're proactive and moving forward, thinking about, what weather we might be in store for next year.
Well, we did jump from $100,000 to $140,000, and I didn't know if anybody on council might have a question about that. Curious as to the cost.
The increase in cost?
Yeah.
It was largely equipping the truck with the right the right features that are needed for a salt truck and to make it, essentially an all-purpose salt truck and plow. So it's costs.
Thank you.
All right, so we're amending this ordinance by clarifying the amount needed from 140 to 145,000, and then also allowing for disposal of the truck.
Correct.
So all those in favor of approving the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, so the ordinance has been amended and read for the first time. There is no need to suspend this one tonight, so we will go through additional readings on subsequent regular council meeting nights. We'll now go to Ordinance 3616. On this one, we'll also have a series of votes. We'll be voting to remove it from the table. We do have an amendment for this, and because this particular ordinance pertains to a grant that has a deadline, I think of next week or maybe even this week, it's very time sensitive, it's this week, we do need to suspend, and then we will vote to see whether or not it will be approved and adopted. Councilmember Pappy.
Thank you. I move from the table Ordinance 3616.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to remove Ordinance 3616 from the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, the ordinance has been removed from the table.
Thank you. I now move to amend 3616.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for amending, and the purpose of, or the details of the amendment.
I will now discuss. The Transportation Committee met March 4th in a meeting where we discussed the application for the McKinley Extension Project. And the regional let me read this. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit applications and enter into agreements with the Appalachian Regional Commission, ARC, and other agencies for grant funds for construction of the McKinley Extension Project and declaring an emergency. Whereas an access road between Stimson Avenue to Mill Street is being proposed, as well as improvements at the intersection of Stimson Avenue and the access road for business facilities. For the authorizing to move forward to submit an application, we do not need to have additional information as to who is a partner or what other monies are involved. So that is being struck. That's what we want to amend. We want to amend that whereas. And then we'll move forward with the mayor submitting an application for this improvement. And we are agreeing to obligate $250,000.
So we have an amendment that removes some of the cost-sharing detail that was in the previous ordinance. We found that that is not needed for the grant application. So all those in favor of approving the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ordinance has been amended and read for the first time.
Madam President, I move to suspend 3616.
Second.
And the reason behind that is we were already given a grant extension by ARC, and we need to move forward with our legislation so that we can submit this application. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, as was explained, I mean, this was a grant that the deadline was the 14th, but ARC has given us an extension on this, for the $500,000 that could come from this. So we have until today or tomorrow to get this, so at least have this approved. So this is the highest level of urgency to get this passed, hopefully, this evening.
So we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for Ordinance 3616. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The rules have been suspended. Councilmember Pappy.
Move to adopt 3616.
Second.
Okay. And we've had the details of this, an Appalachian Regional Commission grant that would allow us to begin some of the first work for improving that McKinley Avenue extension. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Under our announcements and other business items, we have 2 meetings coming up that we'd like to let the public know about. One of those on April 1st. This is the second of a meeting with Students' Senate. And last fall, we met with Undergraduate Student Senate. This spring, on April 1st, we'll be meeting with both undergraduate and graduate student senate, and all council members will be attending. And that will be in Baker Center. On April 8th, council members then will be meeting with President McDavis and some of his staff, once again in Baker Center. This is part of a periodic meeting that we have with them and discussions on how we can work together, and sometimes good brainstorming ideas come out of this. Our task force looking at affordable housing and also looking at community safety with large public events have both spun off from some of these conversations. So that meeting will be on April 8th. And then I wanted to ask council members tonight about committees that might need to meet next week. Service.
I'm not aware at the moment.
Yeah.
Mayor, did you know if anything
Any-
pending?
Not right now, but
Okay.
subject to change.
Sure. I'll try to
Okay.
get in touch with the clerk before Thursday.
And we'll find out from Councilmember Reisner whether finance and personnel will need to meet. So we will be having a committee meeting next week, at least with that discussion on that.
We will be having our infrastructure tour coming up as
Friday.
well.
Thank you for the reminder. Yes, on April
First.
1st also, we will have our infrastructure tour that's conducted by city staff, often Department of Director of Public Works Andy Stone, and our Deputy Service Safety Director and our Service Safety Director accompany us, and the mayor. And that meeting is open to the public. If public members do wish to go on that, we look at various facilities around the city on one of the city buses. It's about 2 hours in length. All you need to do is phone the Clerk of Council's office at 592-3342 to make a reservation or just to let us know so that we know how many people we're going to be on the bus. And it's great because it gives a lot of information about the city, the history of the city. Yes, Mayor
If I
Patterson.
may, anything that pertains to Athens City Arts, Parks, and Rec will not be on this street tour. Park elements have been in before, but right now our thinking is that with the levy that there should be a separate tour in the future. No date yet on that, but likely a separate Arts, Parks, and Rec tour to where we can go around and specifically address those. Otherwise, if we folded them all together, we'd likely be sitting at the community center for hours on end. So kind of keeping them apart.
Any other announcements? We'll move on to opportunity for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services not covered on the agenda. And I mentioned this briefly at the beginning of our meeting. If you have a topic that was not addressed with one of the ordinances tonight or one of our other announcements, then you're welcome to come up to the podium. You have 3 minutes. We set a timer. I just ask that you announce your name and address and then speak to us about this. And it's an opportunity for citizens to provide us with comments. So it's somewhat difficult situation, it might seem like sometimes, but we do not offer a response back. We will not answer questions. We will not engage in discussion when these comments are made. We are available afterwards for additional questions or comments, or if follow-up information needs to be obtained. Is there anyone wishing to speak tonight? Well, we have a very full house, so I thank you for being a very attentive audience. Council members are here afterwards to speak with you and answer questions. I know we have part of Dr. Sudis's class here, and so you're welcome to come on up and address us. We will have a motion to adjourn, however, before we start that.
So moved.
Have that from
Second.
a second. We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned at 7:40 p.m. Thank you.